This video has a like goal. Helping this video achieve it will grant you something just as spectacular as the One Piece treasure. Full details will be at the end of the video. Hey guys, how you doing? This is Manga etc. and I'm here today to bring you another One Piece What If. This time is going to be what if Luffy never ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi. And now for all you hardcore fans out there, this video might just seem very cut and dry. I initially had another endpoint in mind, but because this scenario is so cut and dry is why I decided to put a little twist on it. So let's just dive right in and then I'll explain the twist on when we exactly get to it. So with this, we need to discover just put our little change in there to make it so that Luffy does not eat the Gomu Gomu no Mi. And this isn't a very hard thing to do. All you need to do really is have somebody, doesn't matter what member of Shanks' crew does it, just have somebody have more of an eye on the devil fruit, because in the original story it was really just left by itself, left to its own devices, and that's why Luffy was able to get to it so easily. So we're just going to plop a member, any random member, doesn't matter who it is, of Shanks' crew on the watchful eye of the devil fruit. Therefore Luffy doesn't get to it. So a lot of things that happen within the original story still happen within this new scenario. The bandits still come into the bar looking for some booze. They humiliate Shanks while they're there. As things go on, it leads to Luffy getting kidnapped by these bandits. The red-haired pirates still come and fight these bandits. The leader of the bandits still kidnaps Luffy again and takes him out to sea and throws him into the sea. Now this is where a change will occur. Now that Luffy doesn't have the devil fruit ability, he would still be drowning, and we know this because it is mentioned that how before eating the devil fruit ability, Luffy had the ambition of learning how to swim. So he would still be drowning. Shanks would still come in there, save the day, lose an arm, and things would go on as per usual. They would still make their promise, and then Shanks would go on his way, and then Luffy will go on his way as well, leading to when Garp brings him to the Den. He would still meet Ace, things would still play out as per usual, he would still meet Sabo, and now this is where a change will occur again. When Luffy gets kidnapped by that pirate gang, this is where the change will occur. So as we know in the original story, Luffy was kidnapped, tied up, and beaten to death. Now this is unfortunately where this would finish. There was a hit with a mallet where the pirates that kidnapped Luffy discovered that he had the devil fruit ability and he's not being affected by these attacks. Without the devil fruit ability, this one attack would kill him. And even if you stretched it and said if that attack didn't kill him, the countless beatings that he would got after that would eventually have led to his death. Yeah. Pretty anticlimactic, right? To think that things would end so quickly. So this is why I decided to add a little twist on this video, on this scenario. So I decided I'm going to give Luffy 3 lives. 3 lives to see just how far he could get into his adventure to find the One Piece. And sadly, even with 3 lives, it doesn't go that much further. So let's get into it. Let's explain how he survives getting beat up by the pirates that kidnapped him. So we'll just throw some anime logic in there and say he was tough enough to survive the beating up into Ace and Sabo, run up in there and save him. So they do that, they save Luffy, and like I've been saying, everything plays out as normal as the original storyline. The next change that would occur within this scenario is when Luffy is left alone to start his training. Now, with no Gomu Gomu no Mi, I would argue that Luffy would be as strong as he is in the original story, if not stronger. And this, for me, really pertains to 2 reasons. So one reason, and I can't prove this because I'm not the science guy, I don't know how to do all the mathematics and figure this kind of stuff out, but one reason I think that Luffy would be stronger is because I feel like normal human bone and flesh and skin and all that would be tougher than rubber, bone, skin, and flesh and all that. So I feel like if that is true, if that is the case, then I feel like Luffy would be a more heavy hitter, especially in base. Well, yeah, in base, than having the Gum Gum fruit powers. I really think that is that extra snap that Luffy can get from his attacks that makes him stronger. That helps to amplify his strength with the Gum Gum fruit. The second reason why I feel that Luffy would be stronger in this scenario is simply because without a Devil Fruit ability, Luffy would not have been wasting time learning how to use his Devil Fruit ability. All of his training that he did while he was by himself would probably be strength based, working on getting stronger, working on his fighting. So there'd be a more focus on that, and that would lead to him getting stronger. Also, during this time of training by himself, he would eventually have learned how to swim, because we know from conversations that he had with Shanks that at some point he was willing to learn how to swim. So he would have got that down packed within his time by himself. So just to summarize, I think that Luffy would be as strong, if not stronger. He would be able to swim now. The only thing that he would be losing is his mid to long range attacks. So he'd do his training, he would reach his leaving age and set out on his journey. So the Sea King that came to stop him on his way out, he would still get defeated, one-shotted, but it just won't be a Gum Gum pistol. It'll just be a normal, bow, human, or non-Gum Gum pistol. So moving on to the Alvaro Arc, things will probably play out more or less the same. The major story beats would be hit, but at the beginning where we have Luffy in the barrel, I don't think that would happen. I think Luffy being able to now swim, he would escape the ship early on, swim to the boat that he ended up on, and just be on the ship that way. And then at some point he would run into Alvida's crew. Like I said, all the story beats would fall out the same. He'll still meet Kobe. He would still fight for the members of the crew. He would still beat Alvida. The only difference with the Alvida and Luffy fight that I see happening is that instead of sending her flying, she would still remain on the ship, so she would probably end up being captured by the Marines. So fast forward to the Captain Morgan's arc, I think everything would play out the same up until the point where Luffy has to retrieve Zoro's sword. So the members of the Marines would still be putting up the statue on the base and actually finish it this time, because Luffy doesn't have Gomu fruit abilities to shoot himself all the way up to the top. So Luffy has to start from the bottom and work his way up. Kobe would still hop in there and try and save Zoro. This would still be caught by the attention of the Marines, and they would act accordingly. I do reckon we would still get to a point where Luffy would see this from the window, but without a Devil Fruit ability, he wouldn't be able to shoot himself between Zoro and the Marines. He would still jump out through the window, and this would catch the attention of the Marines. And now this is where I think Luffy would die again. And now let me explain why. So it's hard to say, because at this point we don't know if Luffy is able to dodge gunfire. So I had to compare it to another speed feat that happens it happens quite after, not too long after this whole thing in the Captain Morgan's arc. And now I'm talking about in the Syrup Village arc, where Luffy has to dodge Captain Kuro. So Captain Kuro is capable of very fast speed fleet called the Stealth Foot, and now this is faster than the human eye, as we see within the anime, and I guess the manga as well. So bullet fire, Stealth Foot, I thought they were pretty much comparable. And so now, as we look at the fight of Captain Kuro and Luffy is able to react to this feat, but as we see, there is still instance where Captain Kuro is able to just scrape past Luffy and hit him. So he may be able to react to that kind of speed at this present moment in time, but he's still capable of getting hit by it. So I figured at this point, faced with multiple Marines loaded with guns, Luffy is bound to get hit more than once, and it just takes one fatal hit in the right place to cause death. So this is where Luffy would lose his second life. So let's bring Luffy back to life. How he's doing it this time is we're going to say that these Marines, they have stormtrooper aim. For those of you who don't catch the reference, it just means that they, the aim sucks. So they was firing at Luffy, they was missing. Luffy was able to dodge where necessary, duck and dive, all that good stuff. Make his way towards the Marines, take him out, and again, things would happen just like they did in the original story. Zoro would be freed, Captain Morgan's defeated, they move on, Zoro joins the crew, they move on onto their next adventure. So now, in the Buggy Arc, again, I still feel like the major story beats would play out the same with a few differences. So for one, Luffy wouldn't get separated by Zoro, they would arrive at Orange Town together, but I reckon just eventually being on the town in general, they would get mixed up within Buggy and what's going on there. And so things would play out pretty much as normal. The fights between Luffy and certain characters would be different, obviously, because it doesn't have his devil fruit ability. But I still think he would end up fighting the same people and the results of the fight would fall out the same way. The only major differences I see within this arc is that Zoro would have his fight uninjured. He wouldn't end up getting injured by Buggy. And instead of sending Buggy flying like in the original story, he would just be knocked out, still remain in the town, which would enable the townspeople to collect Buggies and any other wanted pirates within Buggy's crews, bounty rewards to help them repair the town. So that would still happen. Luffy and Zoro would still leave the town, and yes, I still think that Nami would be joining the crew at this moment. Looking at Syrup Village arc next, again, all the major story beats would be the same. The only major differences is just Luffy's fight and how he deals with certain scenarios. But I reckon everything could play out the same. They would still end up with the Merry. Usopp would still join the crew and they'd head on to their next adventure. In the Baratie arc now, I do think this is where a next change would occur, and I see it going one of two ways. So in this scenario, Luffy can't cause the damage to the Baratie, so I reckon he wouldn't end up having to work there as a chore boy. So it's because of this, I reckon it is possible that Luffy would be able to convince Sanji to join the crew before Jin comes back with Don Craig, and therefore they would move on to their next adventure sooner than they did within the original story. But I also do see a scenario where Luffy may have not have been able to convince Sanji soon enough. Don Craig still come in there and they get wrapped up with him fighting them as well. But for me personally, I think it's number one rather than two. But don't worry for all you guys who care about the people of the Baratie, because within the number one scenario, and they do leave early, we need to remember that Mihawk was also on his way there. So any trouble the Baratie people would have faced with Don Craig and his crew arriving would have been easily sorted by Mihawk. The only problem with scenario one is that we don't get Zoro versus Mihawk, so therefore Zoro doesn't suffer his injury. He doesn't have his speech to Luffy saying that I won't lose again, and he also doesn't break his two swords, so he'll be going into the next arc fresh, completely fresh, which is good for fighting standpoints, but I feel like he got a bit of character growth within losing to Mihawk, so he wouldn't dare have that growth. So with our Long Park arc within this scenario, things would be a bit different. So I've gone the route where they was able to convince Sanji before Don Craig hops in there, so Nami doesn't steal the merry-go. However, while they are sailing towards their next adventure, Nami would realize, alright, cool, I've got pretty much all the money that I need right now. It would probably be best if I lead these guys towards Arlong Park. So this is what they would do. So they would be led towards Arlong Park by Nami. And again, like I've been saying, all the major story beats would fall into place with them going to Arlong Park, meeting the Arlong pirates, and eventually then defeating them, learning about Nami's backstory within the process. So with the Road Town arc, things would pretty much be the same. They would be arriving earlier, and it's questionable if Dragon would be there early. We don't know exactly when he arrived, but they would be arriving earlier. But it's without a doubt they would have an easier time there, not only because they're arriving earlier, but because Buggy and Alvida, two problems that the Straw Hats face while in Rogue Town, would not be present because, like I said previously, they would have both been captured by the Marines. I don't know, it would fall out a bit differently, but if they was to become face-to-face with Smoker, they would eventually find a way out of it because, you know, Luffy's destined to be Pirate King, so he would eventually find a way out of it and they would make their way to Reverse Mountain. So it would be on the attempt to go up Reverse Mountain where Luffy and this time the whole crew would die. Upon reaching the entrance of the canal and having trouble steering the ship, without Luffy being able to use his Gomu Gomu on a balloon to help them steer them back in the right direction, the ship would be hit, causing it to capsize, causing them all to drown. Yeah, so this is where Luffy would lose his final life, and unfortunately where I would leave this scenario. But I think I've made it pretty clear now that without Luffy's Devil Fruit ability, it would be hard for him to achieve his dream of becoming the Pirate King. Even if I gave them another life, even if I gave them another life, and this is just me thinking off the top of my head right now, even if I gave them another life and they was able to make up Reverse Mountain, eventually they would die. If they could get through all of Baroque's work, fair enough. I could see that as a bit of a stretch, especially when it comes to Crocodile. But we do know that with anything wet, Luffy was able to hit Crocodile. When they would reach Sky Pier, if they even reach Sky Pier, they would not be able to deal with God and now. So yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that without his Devil Fruit, Luffy would not become Pirate King. Anyway guys, that is it for this what if scenario. Make sure you check out my other what ifs, which will be showing their faces within the end cards. If I can get 5 likes for this one, then I will have part 4 of what if Luffy, Ace and Sabo join under one crew out within 2 weeks. 2 weeks of this video coming out. So that will be out then. But like always guys, I'm asking for your thoughts and opinions. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Most importantly, take care. Have a nice day.